Emma, Daniel, and their dog Max had been planning their camping trip to Blackwood Forest for months. They had heard rumors about the beauty and serenity of the forest, and as avid nature enthusiasts, they couldn't resist the allure. Packing their car with all the necessary camping gear, they set off on a crisp autumn afternoon, excited for a weekend, away from the hustle and bustle of city life. As they drove deeper into the forest, the canopy of trees grew thicker, casting long shadows on the narrow, winding road. The golden light of the setting sun filtered through the leaves, creating a picturesque scene that put their minds at ease. They found a secluded spot by a small, tranquil lake, pitched their tent, and set up a campfire. As night fell, they sat around the fire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. The forest was eerily quiet, with only the occasional hoot of an owl or rustle of leaves to break the silence. Max, usually energetic and playful, lay quietly by Emma's feet, his ears twitching occasionally. Around midnight, Daniel noticed something strange. "Hey, do you see that?" he asked, pointing towards the forest. Emma and Max followed his gaze and saw a faint, flickering light between the trees. It was unlike any light they had seen before, shifting colors from blue to green to red, moving erratically. "What is that?" Emma asked, her voice tinged with unease. "I don't know," Daniel replied, "but it's probably just someone else camping nearby. Maybe they're using some kind of LED lantern." Max, however, seemed agitated. He stood up, his ears perked, and let out a low growl. "Easy, boy," Emma said, patting his head. "It's probably nothing." But the lights continued to move, darting between the trees in an almost playful manner. They seemed to be getting closer. Curiosity getting the better of them, Daniel suggested they investigate. "Let's check it out. Maybe it's some kind of natural phenomenon." Emma hesitated, but Daniel's enthusiasm was infectious. They grabbed their flashlights and, with Max leading the way, ventured into the forest. The lights seemed to dance just beyond the reach of their beams, always a few steps ahead. As they walked deeper into the woods, the temperature dropped noticeably, and a thick fog began to roll in, obscuring their path. The strange lights grew brighter and more erratic, casting eerie shadows that made the trees look like twisted, contorted figures. "Maybe we should turn back," Emma suggested, feeling a knot of fear tighten in her stomach. "Just a little further," Daniel insisted. "I think we're close." Max suddenly stopped and began barking furiously at the lights, which had now split into multiple orbs, each one pulsating with a different color. The lights hovered for a moment before shooting off in different directions, leaving the forest in complete darkness. "What the hell?" Daniel muttered, scanning the area with his flashlight. The beam of his flashlight caught something reflective on the ground. He bent down and picked up a small metallic object. It was a pendant, intricately designed with strange symbols and a glowing gemstone at its center. "This is weird," Daniel said, showing it to Emma. "Let's take it back to camp," Emma suggested. "We can figure out what it is in the morning." Back at the camp, they examined the pendant more closely. The symbols were unfamiliar, and the gemstone emitted a faint, otherworldly glow. "Do you think it's related to those lights?" Emma asked. "Maybe," Daniel replied. "It looks ancient, though. I wonder how it ended up here." They decided to call it a night, hoping that daylight would bring some clarity. But as they settled into their tent, the forest seemed to come alive with strange noises. The once tranquil lake now emitted an eerie glow, and the rustling of leaves sounded more like whispers. Emma and Daniel lay awake, listening to the unsettling sounds. Max, usually a reliable guardian, whimpered quietly at their feet. The next morning, they woke up to a thick fog that had settled over the lake. The pendant lay on the ground between them, still glowing softly. They decided to explore the forest again, hoping to find more clues about the strange lights and the mysterious pendant. As they walked, the fog seemed to follow them, growing denser with each step. They reached a clearing where the grass was unusually tall and thick, swaying despite the lack of wind. In the center of the clearing stood an old, gnarled tree, its branches twisted and bare. Suddenly, the lights appeared again, this time brighter and more intense. They circled the tree, moving faster and faster until they formed a glowing vortex. Emma and Daniel watched in awe and terror as the vortex expanded, engulfing the tree and illuminating the clearing. A figure emerged from the vortex, tall and slender, with eyes that glowed like the pendant. It moved with a fluid grace, almost as if it were gliding rather than walking. "Who are you?" Daniel asked, his voice trembling. The figure did not speak but raised a hand, and the pendant flew from Daniel's grasp into its palm. The symbols on the pendant began to glow brighter, and the figure's eyes turned a deep, menacing red. Max barked furiously, but the figure paid no attention. It raised its other hand, and the ground beneath them began to shake. The tall grass wrapped around their legs, pulling them towards the glowing vortex. Emma screamed, struggling to free herself from the grass's grip. "Daniel, do something!" Daniel fought against the pull, trying to reach Emma and Max, but the force was too strong. The figure stepped closer, and the pendant's glow intensified, blinding them with its light. Just as it seemed they would be consumed by the vortex, a deafening roar echoed through the forest. The lights flickered and dimmed, and the figure recoiled, its eyes wide with fear. A second figure emerged from the trees, this one larger and more imposing, with a fierce protective aura. The new figure raised its hand, and the pendant shattered, sending shards of light scattering in all directions. The grass released its hold on Emma and Daniel, and the vortex began to collapse in on itself. The first figure let out a piercing scream and vanished into the dissipating vortex. The forest fell silent, and the fog lifted, revealing the familiar surroundings of Blackwood Forest. The protective figure approached Emma and Daniel, its eyes kind and gentle. "You are safe now," it said in a voice that resonated with warmth and reassurance. "The forest has many secrets, but not all of them are meant to harm." Emma and Daniel were speechless, still processing what had just happened. The figure looked at them with a knowing smile. "The lights you saw are guardians of the forest, but they can be corrupted by dark forces. The pendant was a key, and you were chosen to break its curse." "Who are you?" Emma finally managed to ask. "I am a guardian of this forest," the figure replied. "My duty is to protect it and those who seek its refuge." With that, the figure began to fade, merging with the trees and the earth until it was no more than a whisper in the wind. Emma, Daniel, and Max returned to their campsite, the events of the past night feeling like a distant dream. They packed up their gear and headed back to their car, eager to leave the forest behind. As they drove away, they couldn't shake the feeling that they had been part of something much larger than themselves. The memory of the mysterious lights and the guardian would stay with them forever, a reminder of the unknown forces that lurk in the shadows. Back in the city, Emma and Daniel did some research on Blackwood Forest and discovered that it had a long history of unexplained phenomena. Sightings of strange lights, disappearances, and legends of ancient guardians were all part of the forest's lore. They realized that their encounter was not unique, but it had given them a new appreciation for the mysteries of the natural world. They vowed to return to Blackwood Forest one day, not out of fear, but out of respect for the powerful forces that protected it. For now, they were content to let the forest keep its secrets, knowing that some mysteries are better left unsolved. The lights in Blackwood Forest would continue to dance, their true purpose known only to those who dared to seek the truth.